Hey, welcome back to Vic's Views, you guys. I got a movie called Paranormal Activity: The Next of Kin. Now, this is a Paramount uh, exclusive, and it's about a young girl, man. She's a documentary filmmaker. This is what it's all about. A documentary filmmaker follows Margaret. Margaret is her name, as she heads to a secluded Amish community in the hopes of learning about her family, following a string of strange occurrences. So, I could read more, but that's all I could get off the. That's a plot synopsis. But anyway, this young girl, man, and her little film crew, she wants to find out what happened to her mom, and she wants to find out. She wants to find out. People grow up, they want to find out where they actually from. They want to see who their real family is. And this movie's a trip, man, because I was shocked how good this movie was. I'm surprised people are not really talking about this movie. Anyway, this is not a review. This is me just giving you my take. But so she has this guy that helps her find her family. But this guy used to be part of the Amish family, but he got away from it. But he found her, and she found him because she was trying to find out what happened to her mom. And her mom dropped her off at this hospital, and her mom looked like she was crazy. So as she grew up and she went to school, and she's got these two buddies that's with her, and they got all this film equipment. So they decided that they met this guy who was part of this Amish community, but he supposedly had left. He said, "I'll take you out there." You know how Amish people are; they kind of live off themselves, and they live like just the way they live. Like bare necessities. This hands-on stuff. So they get there, and they didn't want him to. They didn't want him to stay. So he turned around. And he goes, "Man, they don't want to have nothing to do with you." And she was like, "Man, because she wanted to find out, because that's where her mom was from. So she knew she was related to these Amish people. They were supposed to be Amish people. So anyway, she turns around. They're kind of disappointed. Her and her two camera crew, man, two guys, and so they go back to the they go back to a motel, like I guess about 10 miles, I don't know, like 5 or 6 miles in town. And they fall asleep, and all of a sudden, they was talking, they was disappointed. And then this little boy that they had seen had wandered off, and they heard somebody knocking on the window or making some noise. So she looked out there, and this little boy. So then she grabs the little boy, and then the two cameramen, they drive out there and give it to the head leader of the guy, and he walks out and he tells them thanks. He goes, because the boy has a knack of wandering off. So they decided to let them stay. So when they came in, they set up the camera, and the guy, they're Amish people, man, And so she said, "I just want to know about my mom. I want to know about my family and this and that," because she knew she was related to him. So, but these people, this was a weird Amish man. So they ended up letting them stay there, and they let them film, and they let them see how they were living and how they were, how they live off the land and everything like that. And man, there was some creepy stuff in this thing, man. And then, they started, she started hearing, stuff upstairs, and she started, snooping around. And then they woke up. They all three woke up, And what was neat about this movie? There was no unnecessary cussing or unnecessary sex. It had a lot to do with, this thing had a lot to do with some witchcraft stuff after you got done with it. But if you watch the movie, it unfolds a certain way, and it keeps you going, So they use this, they wake up and they see all the Amish people going out into this field. But you can't see their bodies, all you can see is lights. So they was curious. So they decided to go out the next day, and they had this drone. So they took this drone, they went out, the guy took the drone, and he went out, and it just goes, they was way out of nowhere. They was in the middle of nowhere. These Amish, how Amish people live. Now they seen this big church that looked like a church. So they decided to go out there, snoop out there. Well, the head leader caught them, and they turned around. They almost got there, and they was trying to get in. And they said, why would they have a building so far out this way, to look like a church? And they was trying to get in, but then before they could get in, the leader said, "Hey, I told you guys not to be snooping around." He goes, "Come on, it's time to eat," So they turned around, and they was trying to ask, what was going on in there, and he just didn't want to have nothing to do with it. And then, as it progressed, the guy that she had help her look for her family. She just wanted to know what's going on with her mom, whatever happened to her mom, what made her mom lose it. And they said, well, your mom come in pregnant and we don't know who the dad is because she never knew who the dad was. And then the guy that was helping her actually had been looking for her, but he had made it look like that they had just found each other on the internet and they just happened to know each other. So there was a little twist to that. Yeah, this movie's a slick one, man. So anyway, they end up sneaking off again, going to this. They got inside this church looking thing, but there was a hole in the ground because you have to push this pier out, just like the pulpit where you preach. And they go, why was there a church but no chairs? Because there's no chairs. But then they found this hole under this pulpit, and they moved the pulpit, and they figured there was a hole in there, and then there was this chain that would lure people down in there. So they decided to document luring themselves down in there, and they found some person down there that looked like they were dynamic spirit or something like that. But the moral of the story is they were keeping their mom, her mom. She found out that was her mom down there, and they were into some type of real like crazy witch stuff, which made they had to conceal the witch in one person, because if that witch would be in one person, if the witch would get out, the witch would jump from bodies to bodies. Man, at the end of this movie just like, I was like, oh my God, this is really good. Because they ended up going in town to get a battery because they wanted to get out of there because they said they had enough, right? Because she ends up getting sick and her body gets thrown up in the air, and then they wake up and she has all this blood in the back of her rear end. Then they was like, they want to take her to the hospital and they didn't want to. And then that's when the two cameramen was like, we're done. And she's like, we're taking you out of here. So I like that part because they wanted to leave. But at first I was like, they're not. Obviously the band didn't start. So then they decided to go in town, and they walked in town. And they walked in town. And when they walked in town, they wanted to get a battery. So there was a post office guy that picked them up. And post office guy goes, I know all the Amish people in this whole community. He goes, and those people are not Amish. He goes, we don't know who those people are, but they are very different. He was trying to warn him, there's something off about those people, but they're not Amish. He goes, I'm a mailman. I've been a mailman for this area for a long time. He goes, they're not Amish. There's something else. And he goes, man, there's something off about that family. So he said something that made them go into the town in hardware, and the guy said, hey, we need a battery. And the guy said, what size? And the guy's like, I don't think I have that size. So he goes in the back, and he's like, I have that size, but I only have one left. So I was like, okay, this is making sense. So they get the battery. But in the meantime, while he's back there getting battery, they said, can we use your computer? He goes, yeah, go ahead. And the guy that was in the little hardware store says, hey, don't do anything stupid. So then they found out what these people is all about. And they had something to do with some kind of crazy witch that had to be concealed. And at the end of this movie, man, the ending was flipping crazy. I'm surprised people are not talking about this movie, you guys. I really am. I love this movie. It was good. It was good. It was perfect to me. But anyway, you guys, God bless and take care. That's all I got. Remember, Paranormal Activity, The Next of Kin. It came out in 2021, and like I said, it's I think it's like I think it's 99 minutes. So you won't be that long into it. But check it out if you get a chance. God bless, take care.